All right. Welcome to episode 181.
181.
We are going to change location for the podcast soon because summer's officially started. We might do it at the pool, like in the pool, and we just put the camera and do it because it's a bit warm right now. You're going to be, like, I'm pretty sure by the end of the podcast, I'm going to sweat a lot. Like, I should not have worn this shirt, but this is my Sangoku shirt. And
this is the shirt we talked about a few
that's the one I
episodes
talked
back.
about. As you can tell, I mean, it's a real Sangoku shirt. So there you go.
Yeah, it's very orange.
It's very orange, just like in the manga, my dear. Anyway, what are we going to talk about? So many times I come up with some idea that I know to be right. I can see the patterns, and I'm like, all right, there's something there. And one of them was the performance box. The performance box was decomposing everything, any exercise, any person, when it comes to exercise, into skill, muscle capacity, and neural output. So I did it because that was the best way to explain movement. Like if I take an exercise, right, a snatch or whatever, and then you draw the box, you can make it towards skill versus muscle capacity, which is muscle quantity versus muscle quality, and neural output. Anything that is strength-based is more neural output. Everything that is more strength endurance is going to be toward muscle capacity, with skill being the limiting factor of the exercise itself. No? And so I started to play with that. What I realized now is that you can also define someone based on that.
Really?
What do I mean by that? I was thinking about that when I was programming for the template the other day, and what works for me or what doesn't. And I was looking at the way things seem to work a certain way for me to make progress, right? But especially early on, I was very confused and almost angry at the fact that I could not follow a bodybuilding program. It's just some things worked for my back, for example, but just others, it just wouldn't. Like I couldn't put the amount of muscle that Dorian Yates put it in his first year, mostly because I'm not Dorian Yates, but that's another problem. But the way he looked at training just did not fit me at all. But it was, how do you dismiss the results that he got? What I did not understand is that genetics is a huge factor, because if you're a pro bodybuilder, you know within the first year of training or not. If you don't know if you're going to be a pro within the first 2 years, you're not a pro. You'll never be a pro. I can tell you that.
Specific type to be a bodybuilder.
But it's any sport. If you don't know within the first year if you have a shot at being a pro, then you'll never be a pro. It's like a sprinter. If you start your 100 meter at 16 seconds, you're not going to be good. And I don't mean to be an asshole, but it's just a fact, right? It's just you're either good or you're not,
That's
right?
True.
So progress is great, but your starting level matters. And welcome to genetics, fellas. Anyway, but so I know things better, but still looking at bodybuilding programming, and God knows I tried, I just could not make the progress that I wanted. And I realize now why. It's like I need a constant stimulation for me not to forget things, but not forget as like whoops. More like my body doesn't, if it's not on a regular basis, my body just drifts away. I can't stay within the patterns. I see that with bicep work. I have to do bicep work every day for them to stay connected. If I wait 3 days, by the third or fourth day, it's like I'm starting over. I'm just, Sisyphus. No, it's not a movie.
What's that?
Sisyphus.
Oh,
No,
sorry,
okay.
that was.
But that's okay because no one
nothing.
understood.
That was literally nothing.
Right. So it was the tale of the Greek Sisyphus was the guy who was cursed by the gods, where he had to roll a stone uphill, and every morning the stone would be back at the bottom, and he was cursed to do that for all eternity.
Oh, that sounds like a great workout. I like it.
Exactly. Right. So
why is that a curse?
Because every morning. So the idea was like stop. Sorry, the dog. There's no stop to the work, basically. So it's the Greeks. Like everything had you get the meaning of the curse, though.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
there we go. It's not a movie. It's all good. It's the Greek mythology. So you won't get bored if I talk about it. So the key is like if I wait 2 days, by the fourth day or fifth day, my biceps look like they're back to square one, and I have to go up the hill all over again. So I have to just constantly keep the system stimulated to make certain progress. So I'm someone who can train exercises often. Like if I've always been like that. I could easily deadlift 2-3 times a week. I can do strongman every day, which if you see is ridiculous because most people are shot. They tell you to do strongman once a week only because if you do more, your nervous system will be shot. Which has been very true for some people. It has been completely wrong for me. I can do strongman every day. I can do strongman hard 2-3 times a week and be just fine. Like my nervous system recovers so fast. That is not the same for muscles though.
Is that also because you like it so much?
But maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yes.
because that's who I am. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So that means like, for example, for programming for me, that means that I need to program exercises often. Like I need to do the good mornings all the time. I need to squat all the time. I need to do carries all the time. I need to do exercises that require a high neural output continuously. And then I make progress. And I don't get tired. I recover very well for it. If you want to murder me, you push me toward muscle capacity. You make me do like bodybuilding, like 30 sets, 20 sets of biceps. Like I'm literally in freeze the next day. I cannot handle it. So I was finding the idea interesting on that. No, that's not true. Like your muscle capacity, if you look. Right. So, but that's what I wanted to talk about today. So, for example, in my case, I'm a neural output kind of guy because what I realized a long time ago is that I had no business being as strong as I was on certain movements. I squatted 550, so 250 kilos, but I carried 470 on my back.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. I was like, how come your legs can't squat only 250, which is very low for a strong man, let's be honest. Like 300 kilo we can talk, but 250 was low. But yet you carry 470 kilos, so 1,000 pounds. Like I could squat 550, but I carried 1,000. When I carried 1,000 pounds, they told me don't do it, you won't be able to train for 2 weeks. I carried the 1,000 pounds, and the week before I did 900. I did 880, 900, 950, 1,000 over 4 weeks, right? And they say like you're gonna be shot for 2 weeks. The week after that, I was back under 800. I trained the whole week. It made no difference whatsoever. I can generate an amount of neural output that is massive. What's neural output? Neural output is the capacity to create a murderous intent. You know, when you look at the bar and no inhibitions stays. So you're able to go in a place where the only thing that there is the weight that you will murder. Right? And then from there, so once you have generated that mental energy, that focus, that capacity to let go of all inhibitions, can you transfer that nervous energy, but not in a sense of nervous anxiety, that actually neural energy into the muscle? So you need to have the nervous system to do that. I happen to have that. What I don't have is a muscle capacity.
So it's basically one big explosion for you, and then.
So it's this. So I do everything out of intensity, out of mental intensity. My body does not follow nearly as much. My legs are still skinny, so I had skinny legs squatting to 50, because I had no business squatting to 50. I mean, it was more a good morning anyway, because I muscled it. But I muscled it here through intensity. I had no business probably squatting that weight. But it's like that woman that lifted the car because her kid got stuck beneath it. It's that's what I have. Right, but that becomes a person. So you take that person, I can lift the car off the kid. I mean, that type of person. And then you put it into a very skill-based sport like Olympic weightlifting. I'm never going to make it through training, because the first 2 years you have to go light and then just do the movement perfectly and everything, and I don't get it. I'm not skill-based. I'm not muscle capacity based. I don't have the genetics or the capacity to build muscle that a pro bodybuilder has. What I have is neural output. So then I realized that I could look at the performance box and see who I am based on that. Why does it matter? Because it's going to change entirely the way I train. Because now I'm going to go toward movement, the way I approach training, because now it's going to make me go toward exercises that are not necessarily muscle capacity based. So I'm not going to look at hypertrophy per se. I'm going to look at just keeping my nervous system firing into the bicep, and that will make the muscle grow. Not the whole idea of hypertrophy, just do sets after sets and let the muscle take over. My muscle don't take over, my nervous system does.
So you need intensity neural output into
Right,
that.
so that's what the 10-7-4 works well. But so how do you reach the intensity? For me, so that's when we're going to go into more like the muscle quality, which is the neural output side of muscle capacity, is I need muscle quality in the sense of I need the connection. So for example, my biceps are weak. Why? Because muscle capacity is a problem. Quantity is an issue. They don't grow. So first you go toward muscle quality. So what's muscle quality? Is the capacity of the muscle to contract.
Right, yeah.
So that is also relating to neural output, which means I have the massive capacity for intensity, but that muscle is not receiving the information. So how do I get that muscle to receive the information better, the muscle quality? Well, I'm going to do isometric. I'm going to do toward heavier side, like 7-4 reps, but I'm going to do it almost every day so that when the information is there, it doesn't have the time to leave the biceps. It's going to stay there because I'm going to do it every day. But you see, so now,
How can you recognize what you are in?
right, so we're going to take you as an example. So you start as a sprinter. Why do you start as a sprinter? Because you're fast.
Yeah, also because it was honestly a coincidence.
A coincidence.
Yeah.
But you know why you stuck with it? Because you're so fast.
Yeah.
So by the way, that brings the question, do you choose a sport or does the sport choose you?
Someone is eating my plant. Matteo, stop right now.
I guess I'll edit that.
Aki, get here. Get here.
I'll edit that. Or maybe not. It'll be part of the bloopers.
Sorry, don't
There you go.
put that in.
That'll be on the bloopers, the dog eating the plant. You need to see who she is, really. So that's
My
probably going to
plants
make
are very
it.
important
Okay.
to me.
Let's go back.
Yeah, sorry. You can cut that out.
So, do you choose your sport or does your sport chooses you? That's always been at a high level, your sport chooses you. Because genetics matter, but also it brings out the interesting point is
It's also like what comes on your path, what type of friends you are, and what type of
Right.
environment you are.
right.
Like it's.
But look how much recovery. So now we're going to mix things a bit. So look how much recovery matters. One of the things that made you that killed you with track was how hard recovery was
Yeah.
from track sessions. Don't get me wrong, track sessions are very, very hard. But someday, some people wake up the next morning going, that was hard, let me do it again. Like most driven women that I know, you hate being tired. Track was making you stay into a, what I call vampire life, into a dark room for like 3 hours after your training session. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, the spectrum thing, the exposition to light, overstimulated matters. But I remember when we had that podcast about fatigue and being tired. If you were, like let's say you're neural output or muscle capacity or a skilled person, and you were to hit a sport that has a greater percentage toward a side that is not you, you would create a somatic error that would lead to, might at some point go too far as you explore that activity and lead to fatigue then. Right, so if you were to go towards sprint, that is highly, highly, highly on the skill.
Yeah, it's highly on the skill, and it's also it's very everything has to be perfect all the time, and
Right.
I think that was
Skill.
what put me into it's very skill based, but I think that's what put me into freeze because it constantly feels like you're not doing it well enough because there's
Yeah.
always something you can do better. Like you can never push into a workout and not think about technique
Right.
or stuff
So
like that.
it's not neural output, it's way more skill than neural output, for example.
Yeah,
You have to
it's
go
just-
fast,
yeah.
but it's more skill because
Yeah.
the neural output cannot go through because there's so
first
many
it's-
limiting
it's-
factors.
At first, it's neural output because you're just learning how to
Just running
sprint.
fast, yeah.
And then it becomes actually only skill because it's actually sprinting is flow.
So look, at
Very
first you go neural
skill.
output, then you move muscle capacity, you start to build the hammies, the glutes and everything, then you move more and more towards skill.
Yeah.
So there's an evolution of all sports like that.
Uh-huh.
Except if you look at strongman, it's neural output, but it's going to stay mostly there. It's never going to go into skill that much. It's going to stop at muscle capacity to a degree because at some point you have to be bigger. But if you look, it's evolution. You start at neural output, then you go muscle quality, then you go muscle quantity, and then you go skill. Some sports you can stay toward neural output, others you go toward skill. So if you have a person like me that is neural output, I have to stay on a sport that is more on that side. Neural output, muscle quality, then I'll do better in a weight class.
Yeah.
Right, so if we take you that goes more, that is good, then now you start to go heavily toward the skill. the workout kills you. That means that somatic error, like your body's like, I don't understand what is happening. You feel fatigued. You hate being fatigued. You start to hate track. You can't put yourself into training.
Yeah.
So now you have to choose something else.
That sounds very familiar. Yeah.
Right. Enters CrossFit. What is CrossFit? Neural output, muscle capacity, skill. Right now.
Well, I think it's mostly muscle
capacity.
Yeah,
quality and quantity to a degree,
quantity.
but you already have the legs, you already have to run. So if you look right now, you are training 3 times a day and never tired, like a good CrossFitter.
But that's the thing too. Like I think that being tired is also a big part for women because I don't know about.
Totally.
I just before we move on to that, I think that's also important to mention, and I don't know how other people feel about that, but at some point it started to bother me. Really bothered me a lot that I was training and outside of that I couldn't do much. You know, like I couldn't maybe make the house look as nice as I wanted, or like get things arranged enough, or like do stuff that I needed to do, like normal people.
Normal housewife stuff?
Normal dona de casa stuff.
Huh?
Normal dona de casa stuff.
Dona de casa, yeah, that's how you say housewife in Brazil, which by the way is a much better term.
Yeah.
It means owner of the house, not housewife, but yeah.
But also when I was working that I couldn't give it everything, you know, just my daily stuff. And that started to bother me a lot. And with CrossFit, I noticed that the workouts more pump me up or get me excited, and they make me want to do more in a day, not less, so I can train more, so I can do more what I like, honestly, because I like training. I always found it sad that I could only train 1 time a day with track. So I'm so happy I can train more, and outside of that I can do much more. So it brings so much joy and overall.
This is where I wanted to go exactly with this podcast. I have heard that from women so many times.
Yeah, and I understand.
Women do not like to be tired.
Especially, for example, imagine you have a kid, right? And you train in the morning and it's you have an extremely hard session, but you get completely into freeze and your kid comes out of school and you can't even, you know, play with your kid or maybe do homework with the kid or whatever. Like I can imagine that for women, that's super frustrating. Like I don't have a kid.
Women hate being tired. I see that so often.
Yeah, like I can.
Right,
I find it super annoying too.
Right, and well, I find it past annoying. I've seen that it's a huge problem for women when they start to feel too tired. That's where it starts to mess with their head.
Yeah, because it makes you feel like you don't sort of do enough.
But that's the thing
Does
is,
that make sense?
yes, I'm sure women will relate when you say that.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm supposed to do more than just 1 training session a day. Like it's.
I'm sure they'll relate to that.
Yeah.
I mean, the CrossFitters at least. Right, but the key is you're not tired. You're in freeze.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you're fatigued, not tired. And the freeze can be brought up when the activity that you're trying to do is not the one that fits where you are. So for example, we see that with CrossFit, where at the beginning, everybody is like that. At some point, they want to compete. And now the sport, the activity goes more towards skill again. Because in order to compete, you need to shave seconds here and there. You need to get better at specific movements, because CrossFit is usually the same 12 movements. So then you start to go more toward the skill aspect, and that's what you start losing it, because now that creates that pressure, like it's never good enough, and then you're back to being in freeze. So now the next day you're tired, you start to hate it, and then that wheel starts spinning the wrong way again. You could see, so the key with all this would be to stay within who you are. Neural output, muscle capacity. So you right now are, and you can tell who you are, your muscle capacity. You want to train 5 times a day, have the time to clean the whole house and do this and do this and do this. And at the end, being tired, sleep 8 hours, do it again.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Right, so it's a muscle capacity. Like
I want to be busy from until I wake up, until I go to bed.
And then do stuff and train all the time and stuff. But it's that non-stop, energy type of stuff. That's not the murderous intent of a neural output. I'm going to lift a weight I have no business lifting, which I've always been capable of doing. That is a completely different mindset. It's like I'm more or less asleep until I'm extremely sharp. Then I go back to sleep because I can't maintain that. So me, it's just waiting until that moment requires a sharpness, and then I'm on, and then you see me drifting again. But what happens if I don't get stimulated?
Oh, you just sleep all the time.
You see what I mean? You see that with me. That's why you need to keep me stimulated all the time, because suddenly you're like, hey, I'm like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm just gone. But you see in general with what we do.
Yeah.
Like if it's not all the time, then I don't do it. So I have 2 speeds. You either keep me stimulated and the patterns are going and I'm sharp into it, or I'm gone. But there's no in between. That's a neural output person. Most women out there will be more like, I want to train 3 times a day. I want to have energy for the kids. I have to cook. I have to take care of the house. I have to multitasking. Yeah. I'm a typical hyper specialist, like patterns, and then the rest of the time I just go away. I'm completely gone, so that I can be back when I need.
It's also, I think, very not confusing to find what type of person you are, but it's
welcome to life, though.
Yeah, but it's a very fine line, because I personally always thought that I was a neural output person because I was a sprinter, right? Yep. And that's what you do. But it's very neural output when you, for example, have to do a race or that sort of type of things. But
no, like for example, like
if you really break it down, it's not like that. So things you can be betrayed by the image of things.
Usain Bolt is not a killer.
Yeah,
he's a killer because he wants to win. He's extremely competitive. Yeah. But look how relaxed you are when you run. Look at strongmen. They take the ammonia. They go like look at powerlifters before they lift. Look at the look in their eyes.
Yeah, and sprints, for example, you have to be super relaxed actually.
Yep. Yes, it's it's full relaxation.
If you see people sprint, you see the cheeks go like this.
Yeah, you have to be relaxed, right? So they even teach that
in so if you ever watch a sprint competition and the person usually who has the most relaxed face is most into flow and most likely to be good, because they are completely not completely relaxed, but relaxed into the movement. But anyway, just to say that the picture of something can betray a bit what the actual thing is, so you have to really break it down into the basics of the sport and also the basics of you, because
and basics on the sports with you, because like for example boxing, you have some guys that are flow and everything, but then you have Mike Tyson. So for example, if you try to make Mike Tyson flow, that's not his thing. His thing is he comes in and then he comes at you until he touches you and then you're out. I mean, it's a very, very specific type of thing. Or even within that sport, you will have to find yourself as well. If you start to train in a way that is, so that would kill you, like a coach who bases everything on skills with you instead of training your muscles to go faster will kill you in sprint.
Yeah, and
that's what happened every time.
Looking back, I realized that that's what happened.
The way to make you better was just to murder your legs every session, because then you recover 3 hours, do it again, and you would have no problem.
But I also, looking back, it's also looking back because you
don't know
you realize so much more once you step back. I see what I could have done differently, and also what type of training fits me best. But it's very, very valuable into other things. But
that brings a very interesting part about programming. Like so, as we were talking about the coach that is going to make you more go towards skill than muscle capacity because he doesn't understand. Then he will program in a way that will create a bigger freeze. Bigger freeze means more tire, means greater recovery, means you can't train as much. Skill suffers anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. To do skill, you need a huge volume. To do a huge volume, you need to recover. But most people think carbs, needs rest or whatever. No, then recover means not being in freeze. Whenever you're in freeze, you feel fatigued, but actually you feel tired when you're just actually fatigued. If I can diminish the amount of time you spend in freeze mode, I've improved your recovery technically, because that's what people mean by recovery. It's not your muscle that's tired, it's you, and you're not tired, you're in freeze. So if I can diminish the freeze, I up your recovery. How do I do that? By training you based on your type. So you have a neural output type, a muscle capacity type, or a skill type.
And do we also need to put environment into that? Because
in
reducing that freeze mode.
Well, yeah, always. But then that's where we go, like we can do a podcast on recovery because this will take forever, like because there's so many factors. But a big one would be to keep you in a type of training that does not fit your type.
Yeah.
So I have the template that I program for, but if you look, the template is for someone that is a neural output guy. I put strongmen everywhere, which destroys most people. My soft tissue can take it because that's really what I'm built for carries, but I repeat exercises often, maybe too often for a muscle capacity person, which is probably what happened to you if you look.
Yeah.
Like we were doing heavy stuff all the time on repetition, and then that you had a hard time to recover because it wasn't muscle capacity based. It wasn't like that moving non-stop type of thing. For me, it was just explode, relax, explode, relax. I mean, like your neural output just create a murderous intent on command.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm good at.
Yeah, and for me, it it felt more like because it's also very not skill based. No, I think what I like doing it, but what I miss is, for example, like a simple aspect of sweating a lot. Like I like when I move and I sweat and I get into it and I get into the flow. I miss that, but that was just purely because it's.
But that's what you like. That's the thing. That's what you like. Me, you know what I like? What really gets me, like in the morning, is like going under a yoke bar and knowing the weight will crush me, and the only way to move forward is to say, "Fuck it." And a heavy yoke carry, there's only one way to move forward: is it crushes you, and you do it anyway. That's it.
Yeah.
That's 1,000-pound yoke carry. Is I'll do it anyway. Femur bending and everything. Is you go like and I'm moving forward. You just go. But I can't do that. Just go on anything else. But on that, I'm like, just it's crushing you. You go like, So, everything is pulling soft tissue, and I'm like, good. And my head is exploding, and my eyeballs are gonna pop out of my eye sockets, and I'm like, feels awesome.
Yeah. But was there also a time where you did more CrossFit stuff, and how did that make you feel?
I never liked it. I tried a bunch of times, and
how did it make you feel?
Well, it didn't. By the second, third week, I was like, why am I doing this? I don't get it.
And what was it that you didn't get?
The pain, that specific type of pain, I don't like it. That pain I don't like, which is funny because I can do strongman stuff that just murders you, like the sled where your legs are cramping. Like, I mean, before I knew how to make cramping go away, which I wish I had known back then, the sessions would be so bad, I would foam roll my legs on the parking lot for 2 minutes in between sets because my legs were cramping so bad. So I would lay on the parking lot on my stomach and then roll my legs onto the cement of the parking lot. That's the only thing that would make the cramping be less bad. Then I would do it again, then again, then again, then again. And every time cramping like crazy. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I loved every second of that pain. Like my muscles cramping all day. That's what I've trained for, to make my muscle cramp. That CrossFit pain thing, like where you all move, like, and then you disengage and you just keep moving no matter what, I don't get it. I'm doing the shit going, why am I doing this? I've done it 60 times. Why am I supposed to do 65? I don't get it. What's the difference between 60 and 70? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
But did it make you especially tired, or did it?
Yeah, because it takes, it's like bodybuilding. For example, like, what crashes me the most is bodybuilding. You make me do a bodybuilding program, I have 3 weeks. By week 3, I'm in complete freeze. I understand now. Back then, I was like, my nervous system is shot. It wasn't. I was in freeze. There is, I look in the mirror, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see the progress right away. I don't see the quality changing. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. And it puts me in freeze more than anything else. So bodybuilding is what put me in freeze the most. At least CrossFit, there was movement involved or running or stuff like that. So I would do it, but within a month or two, it was always like, so what's next? Moving faster. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, how does that relate to everyday life?
So it didn't do anything for you. It didn't put you actually in freeze. It didn't excite you. It was just like a bit numb.
Well, eventually in freeze, because I'm spending energy on that I could be spending on getting stronger, which really makes me want to train. So I just didn't want to train anymore.
Yeah.
But it didn't put me in freeze nearly as much as bodybuilding. Yeah. I just didn't get it. And on an everyday stuff, I don't get it. Like, to be one of those skinny bitches, like that go to the game, below 75, 80 kilos. I'm like, nah. I'm joking.
He's just trash talking.
Yeah, I'm just, strongman is CrossFit for men.
Cancelled!
Cancelled. They tried when I made that joke. What they did not understand is I wasn't saying CrossFit for men as opposed to women. CrossFit for men as opposed to boys. That was obvious. Strongman is CrossFit for men was men as opposite to boys.
Cancelled.
Not opposite to women. They tried. I make that joke like a year ago and I had people saying I was a fan, but now I'm going to stop following you because you're so negative. And I was like, then you were never a fan, because I make that joke every year. And it's coming this year as well. I make that joke every year. It's funny. If you all can't take it, that's your problem. Most people laugh, but there's always 2 or 3 that are bitching, so I'm going to stop unfollowing you. I'm like, you're breaking my heart. I don't know how I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning knowing that you're not going to follow me on Instagram. Oh, it hurts. Somewhere, I don't show it, but somewhere inside it hurts.
Just know that he bullies me since the first week I started doing CrossFit.
Because you're as insane as all the CrossFitters I met. That's how I know you're going to do really well in that sport. Is because you're about as insane as the other ones. I'm like, oh, she's going to do really well. And I know what comes next. Because I've been through those phases so many times. So I can tell exactly week to week, where she's at. And yeah, I know what comes next. Here comes the macros and then the counting. And then
true. That is not true.
What is that watch you all wear? I forget, that has like all the biomarkers on it. I forget, but yeah, don't worry. Once we go to San Diego, it's over.
It's over for
It's
me?
over.
I want to make a bet
Once
here.
you go to Invictus, done.
I want to make a bet here, right now, that I will never be on micros.
On macros? No, you will never be because I won't let you.
No, but
But you want to bet you're going to get the watch?
Okay, let's make a bet.
Okay.
What do we bet on?
Usual private bet.
Okay.
Okay? But you can't get that watch, whatever the name is, whatever the name is.
Fitbit?
Yeah, it's probably that. You can't ask for it either. If you ask, it's too late. There you go. That'll be the bet. 6 months, max. We make it to San Diego, done. Anyway.
Where were we talking about?
So that recovery and fatigue, I think. So if you look at it that way, what we talked about, then the goal of programming should be to address that first. Because if there's no recovery, you have no training. Performance is not based on training. Performance is based on recovery. It's not the training you can do that matters. It's the training you can recover from.
It's the same thing as with food.
With food, it's not the food you ingest, it's the food you digest. So it's the same thing with training. Is what training can you digest? The training that you digest is the one you recover from. Recovery is based on freeze mode or lack thereof. So that means that programming should address first who you are so that we can base the training on skill, muscle capacity, or neural output. That's what's going to matter. Yeah. And so that's why you see the template heavily toward neural output, because then I can do it every day. I trained twice today, I could do it tonight again. It's like I would have, tomorrow, like I would feel a soft tissue, but I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do this. Yeah. It would not be a problem. So, and then I've noticed, because like between the 2 training sessions that I do, like I can do the same muscles almost twice a day. As long as I hit it specifically, I don't feel tired from it. I realize now that I was never tired. I was in freeze. Mm-hmm. And that has been a revelation for me.
What for you is the biggest difference in feeling from freeze and
I feel it under my eyes. When I'm tired, it's physically I'm tired. Like my body is like, dude, like, joints, muscle, just like, can't contract or whatever, they get flat. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that almost overtraining feeling. It's like my muscle get flat. Whole water, but that's a sympathetic reaction, right? It's just like, dude, you need to rest a bit. Mm-hmm. That muscles are flat, things like that. When I'm in freeze, it's right here. Below my eyes hurt, right? And I feel I need to sleep all the time. Yeah. I don't need to sleep. I need to relax my eyes. Like we could go into Reich and all that stuff toward that chakra right here being my stuff, but this is where I carry the freeze mode, right below my eyes. And I know because it aches almost to the inside. That's when it's like, dude, that's probably from, being like this, doing with a somatic error or whatever, but that's where I carry it, is a tension right below my eyes on the inside. Yeah. Then now I know, I'm like, freeze mode. It has nothing to do with being tired. I'm just fatigued. I'm in freeze. Yeah. So I know. So I know which training session does what now.
Yeah, for me, I think when I'm in freeze, I want to lay down. And when I'm tired, I want to sleep. Do you understand?
Yeah, when you want to, but you want to lay down, you can't take light, and you can't take sounds.
Light and sound, that's very true. Yeah, that's true.
Like a good person on the spectrum, by the way, but like, yeah, exactly. Like 10 years ago, you'd be diagnosed, 20 years ago, you'd be diagnosed with Asperger. But, no, Asperger is not that. Asperger is asocial, sensitivity to light, very driven toward one thing, but incapable of making any social bond.
Sounds like me.
Exactly. So, but you is sensitivity to light and sound.
Yeah, that's true. So
that's when you're in freeze.
Maybe it will help someone else. Like maybe someone will recognize your things as a freeze sign, or someone will maybe recognize my thing as freeze time. I also get annoyed really fast. Like nothing I can. Don't say it like that. That's just.
I was agreeing with you.
Don't say it so fast. Like just wait.
Okay. I have to agree with you, but there has to be a delay before, and not agree too much.
No, exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I get it.
This is crazy. Have you been with women or what?
Yeah. Once or twice.
I
do enjoy the game though.
playing the button.
Yeah.
Yeah, calling me crazy. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Who would think that?
Yeah, but I think like one is sleep as in like I could take a nap right now for an hour. That's tired.
But even that, because for me, for example, those naps, there's two. There's a nap where my body could use a break, and then there's like I need to turn everything off for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The turn off for me is a freeze. When I want to just
exactly.
Like, no light,
When I need,
no sound,
when I need to turn everything off, that's a freeze mode.
Yeah.
Now I know the difference. So it's sleep, but it's not sleep. It's going away.
Yeah.
Whereas my body is tired, like the nap is
like
different.
A hide.
I feel my body got rested during a good nap, whereas when I was in freeze, I feel it through my eyes, and usually I don't like those naps. It's because I was just trying to go away for 20 minutes.
I think I asked this question before, but you do end up in freeze, right? It happens. How do you think is the best way to get out of it?
Fight, always.
So go have something, lift.
Go take an action, but take an action toward your type. So in my case, it's take an action toward neural output. In yours would be muscle capacity. So you go move, go run, go in the pool, go clean, but like a physical action that will where you
go clean, woman.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the kitchen.
Where you belong.
Yeah. Me would be like neural output. So do something that requires you to be present. Kick your own ass and go, okay, let me be present
what
here.
What am I going to do here?
Then I'll be fine.
And
skill. If it's skill, then do something skillful. I mean,
like
maybe play chess,
painting,
for example. Yeah, something artistic that would be very much on the skill type, right? Go play chess. So like there'll be different things, but some will relate to your type.
Yeah.
And that's the way out, because action is always the way out. Freeze. What is freeze? Freeze is pumping the emergency brake. Stop taking actions. We need to reset. We don't know where we are. So the only way out is action.
Yeah, and if you didn't listen to our previous podcast
then
on the subject, then do, because it's
I will link
the
podcast.
And the one about fatigue. I think
that's one. I will link that one.
Yeah, and so you're the neural output person is a hard word for me to say with my Dutch accent. I'm more muscle capacity person. How would you describe someone who's more skilled person?
Olympic weightlifting. Painter.
But as a day-to-day people.
Oh, the artistic people then.
Artistic people.
Yeah, artistic people. It's very skilled. Like look at drawing, look at painting. There's so much skill involved into this.
And someone who does Olympic weightlifting or what
like,
else?
Yeah, is more attracted to anything that is throwing based. Where you have to like a dart player, stuff like that. That's all skill all the way.
Yeah.
So there's different types like that. But that's something we're going to explore as we go. It'll take me another 2 years to really be able to define the type of a person. But because I only recently came to realize that the performance box is actually a way to categorize people based on the type in a way. What is that type? Who knows? But there's something there. No?
Yeah. And I think it's very beneficial for programming in general.
Well, that's the thing, is that would be the base of programming. That's the thing, is we program all like, oh, you want a bigger squat. All right, but bigger squat, do I need to improve neural output? Do I need to improve skill or muscle capacity? So it turns out that this will be the base of programming, because otherwise you're going to put yourself in freeze, which means no recovery, means you can't train as much as you want, which means you won't make the progress.
Yeah.
So at the end, your type is the base of programming.
But if I remember correctly, we talked about a few previous points in the past few podcasts where we talked about programming and how to program for a person. So I think at some point it will be cool if we end up with like 5 cues on programming.
But understand that this will be part of the assessment then.
Yeah.
The assessment part of Strongfit will have to, part of the original assessment is understanding who that person the type is. Of that person, who that person is, what type do they fit in. It's always going to be percentage based. You're never full neural output or anything, but it's again, that's why it's a box, because you will be leaning toward one side, and hopefully the activity that you're choosing also leans toward that side, or at least we're going to program the activity you want to do based on the corner of the performance box. But that will be the base of programming.
I think it's extremely smart and interesting.
I believe so, and I think it's gonna. That's a concept that's gonna go really far.
Yeah, And I feel like you're starting to connect more and more dots towards
On this,
that.
yeah. Now that I'm more practical, yeah. But that's
Yeah.
because I went back to training too, so it's
Yeah.
helping me a lot. Because I understood that on myself, and I was like, oh, as always, I always test on myself first.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a very, very interesting
Subject, yeah.
subject
There'll
and
be
things
far
you're
more
going
podcasts on that one.
Yeah, because you're going through the whole thing
Mhm.
yourself now, so it's
So we shall be back.
interesting.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, and see you on the next podcast.